Have you ever noticed that one person in a group who rarely speaks, but seems to hear everything? While everyone else is competing for the spotlight, they stay in the shadows, observing, nodding, and absorbing. In a society that equates loud with leadership, these silent observers are often misunderstood as shy or lacking confidence. But psychology suggests the opposite. Being the perpetual listener actually reveals a high level of emotional intelligence and a unique cognitive makeup. Let's decode the real psychology behind the people who listen more than they speak. Being a listener isn't about having nothing to say, it's about how you process the world. While most people speak to be heard, the listener speaks only when it adds value. This behavior isn't a lack of social skill, it's a social superpower. Today, we're breaking down the 5 psychological traits that define the quietest person in the room. First, high cognitive processing. Psychologists find that natural listeners often have a high need for cognition. Instead of focusing on their next sentence, they are busy analyzing the tone, body language, and subtext of the conversation. They aren't just hearing words, they are gathering data. They prefer to understand the full picture before contributing, which is why when they finally do speak, their insights are often the most profound. 2. Superior empathy. People who listen more usually possess high emotional intelligence, EQ. By staying quiet, they pick up on the unspoken emotions in the room, the subtle sadness in a friend's laugh or the tension between two colleagues. This makes them the emotional anchors of a group. They provide a safe space for others to feel seen, which is a rare and valuable trait in a world obsessed with self-promotion. 3. They are comfortable with silence. Most people feel a social anxiety during gaps in conversation and try to fill it with small talk. However, habitual listeners often have an internal locus of control. They don't need the constant hit of dopamine that comes from being the center of attention. Their confidence is quiet. They don't need to dominate the airwaves to feel important or validated. 4. Strategic social filtering. There is a psychological concept called self-monitoring. High-level listeners are often high self-monitors. They are constantly assessing the social environment to ensure their contribution is appropriate and impactful. They live by the philosophy that it is better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. They value quality over quantity in every interaction. 5. The protection of mental energy. For many listeners, especially those with introverted tendencies, social interaction is a cost. Talking takes energy, listening gathers it. By staying in the listener role, they protect their peace and avoid the social burnout that comes from performing for others. They choose to be present in the moment rather than performing for the moment. So, next time you're in a group and you notice someone staying quiet, don't assume they're bored or disinterested. They might be the most engaged person at the table. They are the ones who truly understand the dynamics, the emotions, and the truth of the situation. Being the listener doesn't make you invisible. It makes you indispensable. Because, in the end, the person who listens the most is usually the one who knows the most. If you've ever felt like the quiet one and finally feel understood, or if you want to learn how to decode the hidden behaviors of the people around you, hit subscribe now. Because on this channel, we don't just hear the words people say, we understand the minds behind them.